What's up, everybody? How we doing today? We're doing good. Got a little different camera angle for you, and we'll see how it goes. I want to pull up some charts today, so I just wanted to change things up, and we're going to talk about the price today. We're going to talk about the HEX price. Have you guys been buying the dip? Because this seems kind of like the best time to dollar cost average in. Buying the dip, guys, often talked about, rarely executed in a good way. Let's see. We've got a couple of people in the chat. We've got Garo Crypto, and we've got JS. It's good to see both of you. And we're just going to talk. We're going to answer some questions, whatever you guys want. But we're going to pull up some charts as well. So I wanted to do that really quick. Let me figure this out. Window tab. Yep. I'm going to share that. All right. Let's see if we can get a good. There we go. I can kind of point at it right over there. Everybody look at the screen in front of you. What is up, everybody? Getting an echo. Uh-oh. How's my audio, everybody? If my audio is good in the chat, put a 1. If my audio is bad, put a 2. What's up, Blue? What's up, Rick Schmitz? What's up, Michael Crow? What's up, 69 Hex? Hey, Bid Finesse. How you doing, man? Founders and holders. That's the only people that get rich in crypto, guys. The only people. Monica, hello. Big Sim 69, great name. Travis Peak, Hawk, say what? Kevin, born yesterday. Finbear. Yeah, we got a bunch of ones in the chat. So I think my audio is okay. But if it starts to suck, let me know, because I don't want to repeat of last time. That was no bueno. So yeah, guys, what's going on? I'm seeing a lot of people talking about, their technical analysis, their price calls. And I don't often talk about price because really, you guys shouldn't be concerned with the day-to-day price. If you're staked in HEX, the whole entire purpose of all this whole thing that I keep repeating like a broken record is long-term holders and founders are the only people that win in crypto. That's the only way you're going to win, is if you can have a high time preference, right? And you need to think like a whale to kind of become a whale eventually. And whales have a high time preference. They don't need money right away. So they're not addicted to checking the screen and drawing lines on charts and everything. But if we're going to draw some lines on charts, I got a pretty obvious one for you guys. It's kind of the oldest trick in the book when it comes to technical analysis. It's called a triangle. And for some reason, everyone's kind of ignoring this triangle, or they want to pretend it's not real, right? But what descending triangles are typically indicative of is a sharp move to the downside. Some high percentage of times it breaks down. But sometimes it doesn't. So there's a probability that it might not break down, but there's a higher probability that it probably will break down. And if it does, what levels are we looking at of support and resistance? Well, I'm seeing everybody just hopeful optimism, guys. A lot of hopeful optimism of, we're going to go to the moon. And I really can't stand that kind of analysis. So I just want to give you a little realistic chart, right? So in a big support line is kind of accumulating at 12 to 10 cent range. We got right here. We've got one right down here. And then we've got another support that's kind of at the 8 cent range, kind of where the last pump was right before the PulseChain sacrifice. So if we do break down, we might get like a V bottom or a quick wick to that 8 cent range. And if you're dollar cost averaging like you probably should be on a generous 80% dip, crypto doesn't dip much more than 80%. Sometimes coins will dip 85, 90%, but on the way back up, you're going to wish you had bought that dip. So it's really about reframing what opportunity looks like to you. And again, it's probably different if you've been holding since 40 cents, if you bought the top, but literally the way to make money in crypto is to buy the bottoms and sell the tops, right? So easier said than done, because typically people always wait for what if it goes lower? What if it goes lower? And they keep saying, what if it goes lower, until it starts going higher. We kick off the bull run again, and then they didn't have a chance to. Right. So I can imagine playing out a couple of different ways. We could break sharply to the downside. In that case, I really think we'll have kind of a V-shaped bottom, because it's probably going to come from a couple of big sellers, as we've seen. Like there was a whale that just dumped a couple million HEX the other day, like a whale in terms of the rankings, actually. And so, I have an idea sometimes of who these whales are, but I'm not going to even talk about it, because it doesn't matter who it is, because it doesn't change the fact that they're going to choose what they want to do. One day when you're a whale, are you going to, Are people going to chastise you and every time you decide to sell? Well, probably, because that's just how plebs act sometimes. But so there's clearly been at least one recent seller that's been dumping. This could be for a multitude of reasons, right? And I'm going to talk about all these reasons coming up here. But first of all, what I want to say is that there's only a few people that can wick the price down heavy in HEX. And I don't think those people are really, I think we're running out of big sellers, right? And a lot of the whales are actually buying right now because the whales are taking the money from the small sellers, and the small sellers don't even make a dent in the price, right? If you're a small seller, this is an accumulation period where the money is moving from the hands of the impatient to the hands of the patient. So it's a bunch of minnows getting eaten up by whales. And although a couple of whales might be on the other end of the spectrum dumping, maybe one or two occasionally, because you'll see it when a big sell comes in, right? You'll see like 1 million HEX sold, maybe pushes the price down like 1% or 2%. Maybe a bunch of minnows follow, and then those get scooped up by the real whales or the smart money, which is, believe it or not, actually accumulating and buying right now. So there's a lot of dollar cost averaging opportunity. And if you haven't already started your dollar cost average in the 10 to 15 cent range, I don't know what to tell you. We've had, like at least 3, maybe 2 or 3 months of DCA time. So let's see if we can draw some stuff here. How long have we had in this range? I mean, we've had like the past 2 months to buy up, between like 10 and 15 cents, right? Again, it might quickly break down to 10 cents, come right back. It might quickly break down to 8 cents, but I don't see a rounding bottom happening because we're already kind of coming to a grinding halt. You know what I mean? We're coming to a slow grind in this bear market rather than a quick V-shaped recovery. We don't even have these big wicks to the downside, really. Like you'll notice here, we don't really have too many giant wicks at the bottom, which means someone has to be buying up all this HEX. There has to be like a lot of bid support at this support line on the screen right here. Now, who are these people? I don't know. It's probably whales that want to accumulate more because that's just how things go. Now, why might somebody be selling right now? Well, I don't know. Tax day is right around the corner. So that's a very legitimate proposal. I've heard that idea from Dollar Cost Crypto. Shout out to Dollar Cost Crypto. Tax day is the 18th, I believe, Monday. And so a lot of people might just try to be selling to pay their tax bills. It might be as simple as that. So I'm actually optimistic and leaning, and I could see the bull case to, there's so many things that could cause this triangle to not break down like most triangles do. We've got tax day coming to an end on Monday, so nobody will have a reason to sell to pay their tax bill. We have PulseChain right around the corner, and once that launch chain is announced, like we're not seeing the hype of the PulseChain launch reflected in the price chart at all because the date hasn't been announced, guys, because it's still being worked on. So a lot of people that are just optimistic or that maybe think that this PulseChain hype is all hype, you haven't even seen it yet because the announcement of the date didn't even happen yet. So that's probably coming. At least the announcement of the date is probably coming in the next 4 weeks or so. And let's see, tax day announcement. Yeah. And then also just definitely like the sense of that there's a lot of, I get the sense that a lot of sellers have sold. I see a lot of people now calling for more downside or whatever. And that means that they're hoping for more downside, when people start calling for it. And this is a really good point from Dixon Piper. You know what I mean? He's a YouTuber, Dixon Piper. If you haven't followed him, go follow him. He really gets it in terms of using technical analysis to try to play this game. But when everyone is thinking one way, and I've said this before, I say this about the pulseX launch, because I think a lot of people are going to dump their pulseX for PulseChain. But when everyone's thinking one way, usually that doesn't happen. So usually the opposite of what you think is going to happen actually happens because the madness of crowds and the crowd is usually wrong, basically. So now that a lot of people are expecting and wanting 7 cents, 8 cents, we might not actually get it. And that's where dollar cost averaging comes in. It's really the simplest solution ever. You layer in your bids at 10 cents, 11 cents, 9 cents, 8 cents, 7 cents. You might not hit all of them, but in the case that you do, great, you get a really low average price. And by the way, that's not even going to matter whether or not you got in at 7 cents or 11 cents. It's not going to matter when we're in single digit dollars, right? We're at $1, $3, $7. You're going to just wish that you had bought at this point. You know what I mean? And, oh, well, how can we be so sure it's coming back? Because the entire market is down right now and it's going to come back. Like, another reason that HEX is probably down is just macro conditions, right? We've got Fed rate hikes that are being implemented right now. So the Federal Reserve rate has already been raised and it's going to be raised again. We've got headline inflation through the roof. So that's going to scare the market. We've got a lot of geopolitical stuff with Russia causing uncertainty. But once all that fades away, you know, part of me thinks this is just one big like play by the big guys, the whales, even in crypto, to shake out the little guy. And once all these people have been shaken out, and if you're not thinking like a whale, you're not going to be ready for it, because basically you're going to sell into the hands of these bigger players who are actually buying. You know what I mean? So let's see. Wow, that's Jay. Good to see you. Do you really think he will announce a date? Did he do that for HEX? Yes, he did do that for HEX because people, the rationale is that sometimes people have their coins locked up in exchanges. At least for HEX, this was the rationale. And so he wanted to give people a 2 weeks notice, just because 2 weeks, you know, that's the amount of time that you tell an employer when you're quitting your job, you put in your 2 week notice. But he gave everyone 2 weeks for HEX because sometimes there are issues with, you know, the ACH transfers, getting out of Coinbase or getting out of Binance, wherever you have your money in a centralized exchange, which you shouldn't. You should not have your money there in the first place. But I think he's going to give people at least a little bit of an opportunity to do that again. And, you know, because I think a lot of people would be upset if, for example, they weren't able to take advantage of their free coins because they were traders, even though we're screaming and yelling about taking your coins off of exchanges. A lot of people are probably still playing these side games and stuff. So I think he'll announce a date, but I don't think he'll even announce it until sometime maybe 3 or 4 weeks from now. And it might actually line up perfectly with the bottom of this triangle, because if we look near the bottom of this triangle, we can stretch it out a little bit too. The triangle kind of extends to late May, early June. And so we could see a little bit of more sideways boring chop until then, right? And yeah, it's boring, but like, I'm trying to tell you guys, this is the biggest opportunity that there is. I mean, without saying, well, I'm not giving financial advice. Obviously, you take responsibility for your own decisions, and I'm just a guy on YouTube, but this is what dollar cost averaging in the dips means. And it's staring you in the face. And, you know, are you going to do it? Maybe you're not. Maybe you're going to keep waiting for 7 cents. And as more and more people start to expect that 7 cent, 8 cents range, it gets less and less likely to happen. Oh, you can't see the trend lines on here. When I add trend lines, I guess I have to keep, well, that sucks. It doesn't live update, right? But I guess I got to keep drawing trend lines and stuff. Dixon Piper is awesome. That's right. Serious question. Won't future coins opportunities on Pulse create more dilution among investors, meaning they'll get into XYZ instead of HEX? Good question. I think no. I think, well, yes and no, right? Obviously, you can't stop people from creating new coins. But I think people oftentimes revert back to the primary store of value, like we see with Bitcoin, like we saw with the Bitcoin bear market, right? When there was a Bitcoin bear market in 2017 and it died off, you know, everybody rushed back in 2018 back to Bitcoin. Granted, both of them fell a lot. You were just slightly less wrecked if you were holding Bitcoin. And so everyone in 2018 thought they were a genius because they were now a Bitcoin maximalist. And that seemed like the safe thing to do. But again, the crowds are always like a lagging indicator because they're reacting to what just happened in the market. But going back to your question, on PulseChain, first of all, you can't stop innovation. And I think you should want more innovation. You should want different narratives to bring people into the ecosystem. I mean, nobody's going to join a blockchain with nothing on it, with no meme shit coins. And like, whether or not you like the stuff that people are doing, it's a net positive because it brings in more network effects. You're onboarding a user. Maybe you're onboarding some Shiba army guy who's just ridiculous, totally lost, thinks that little dog pictures are the future of finance. Well, maybe he falls for your crap coin, you know, Pulse Sheep or whatever on PulseChain. That's actually a net positive because now he's in the ecosystem and his money is there and he can see what the better performing assets are. He or she can then move their money from the whatever altcoins are built on PulseChain into more wholesome, more long-term products like HEX, and guys, HEX is just 2.5 years old. I mean, it might not do the 10,000x. Everyone needs to stop with the whole 10,000x thing, right? But it might not pump as hard as PulseChain in the first year, but it is still full of potential because it was designed as a store of value. So it was still possible to get rich in Bitcoin when Bitcoin was 2.5 years old, right? Now Bitcoin is 12 years old. Now, what, you're lucky if you get a 3x or a 5x on Bitcoin. If in the next bull run, Bitcoin pumps to 150K and you bought it today, well, was that a 5x, 5 times 30K? Well, congratulations. As a small fish, you put in $1,000, you turned it into $5,000, and then you're going to go blow it on a laptop and an iPhone. And that's not life-changing money. People need life-changing money, so they need to be involved in things like HEX and PulseChain early on. And people don't necessarily come in if they don't see their favorite narrative meme to fall for. All these NFT guys, we need to bridge them over into PulseChain. So we need someone to build an NFT platform. I hate NFTs, right? But it's not going to dilute the buying power. It's going to basically think of it like a lot of the money that comes into PulseChain is a one-way diode, and it sloshes around, and it eventually goes and segregates towards the coins with better utility and better products. And people are seeking better products, right? People are seeking yield. And when they're realizing, they can't get yield or whatever, or their coin on PulseChain just rug pulled, and they're looking for a safe haven, HEX is right there for them. So I don't think looking at it like more coins are diluting HEX is the right idea at all. I mean, that's like saying altcoins were diluting Bitcoin. It's like they were the reason that Bitcoin pumped in the 2017 bubble, because people had to buy Bitcoin in order to get into all these altcoins. So it's net positive, right? And then on the way down, people seek safety. People, when their coin gets hacked, or when they realize that the founder dumped on them, or whatever happens to their crappy altcoins, they know that HEX has 100% uptime, and it's still offering 38% APY, and it still has easily 100x left in the tank in the next 2 years, right? I mean, it's so attractive to buy. And if you really want to talk about 10,000x, HEX has a 10,000x left in the tank, but probably not for like 5 to 6 more years. You know what I mean? So everyone that got the 10,000x on the first run up, it took them 2 years. Now for the next 10,000x, it's going to take probably 5 years, right? But guys, 100x, 1,000x is still pretty good. Still pretty damn good. And, PulseChain is going to probably blow up. I personally think PulseChain is going to outperform pulseX, because like I keep saying, I think everyone's going to be a lemming and try to get rid of their pulseX for PulseChain. And I think if I had to be totally honest about top performers for the year, I'd go PulseChain number 1 and HEX actually number 2, because again, the money just gets sloshed around. It doesn't leave the ecosystem. And plus, think about all the additional things that are adding value and speculative stickiness onto HEX. You've got your Hedron, you've got Maxi, you've got so much stuff, and then you've got high incentive rewards for liquidity providing on pulseX potentially for HEX pairs. So it's a lot you can do. And then there's going to be staking and unstaking with 0 gas fees, so the barrier to entry way lower. You've got a lot of people that made a lot of money with HEX that now have a lot of money to market HEX. So it's self-referential, self-fulfilling prophecy, almost price positive feedback loop, if you will. Tank Crypto says 5 years from now. Oh, are you talking about the 10,000x thing? Yeah, in HEX, probably. I mean, 5 to 6 maybe. It's just, when things go from nothing to something, it's like a big bang explosion. So you have these big contractions, and then these big expansions, then these big contractions. And as it goes out, it's kind of like it's almost like a jellyfish, right? Kind of like, but every repetitive cycle in the future, the peaks diminish in amplitude. So you get diminishing returns over time, lengthening cycles and diminishing returns. That's just how things grow from nothing to something. All right, let's check out the chat. Sometimes I'll start an answer and then just get totally sidetracked by random thoughts. Something about Satanism? Weird. Coinbase transfers take forever. Yeah, they take about 3 days. Sometimes 5 business days if you really get stuck. And it's That's why I recommend if anyone's buying crypto from a centralized exchange, get it into crypto now. Get your dollars into crypto now, because you don't want to be shuffling last minute, begging to get into PulseChain when it launches, right? Just wait for those transfers and give yourself enough time for those transfers to go through. I heard pulseX single-sided staking pools will not be offered at launch. My plan was to stake the reward token or tokens and exchange for HEX and stake in it and make a staking snowball for 15 years. Well, first off, I think that's a great strategy, Hookshot. But second off, yeah, there might not be any single-sided pulseX staking pools available at launch. Now, I'm pushing for, hopefully there is. I would love there to be some place to park your pulse, to just earn, random coins that you can just dump for HEX, which Hookshot it. Like, I think that's what I think you're saying, right? All we have right now is that party token. And guys, I'm seeing a lot of BS out there about this party token. Okay. Like, I had a hunch that this party token, the PRT token, number one, it does not stand for PulseChain reward token. Okay. So get that out of your head. It just so happened that the acronym aligned, whatever. My hunch was that it's just a coin there for testing purposes so that you can test on the test net how one would earn rewards from staking pulseX. But this party token, guys, it's made up. It's nothing. It's a nothing burger. Okay. It's just nothing. I mean, I actually went and confirmed or saw that it was confirmed by the developers I'm in a certain chat where a developer actually confirmed party token's nothing. All right. It's made up. So everyone getting all excited about buying this party token, shame on you. People are getting way too excited about like all these coins, and it's just testnet, guys. Like, we can't make reasonable predictions. Maybe we can, for example, maybe we can make some reasonable predictions about testnet versus mainnet, because we could see what people have done with pulseX and PulseChain, right? I mean, it's actually pretty, in some cases, the testnet might be a good indication of what's to come. And so the ratio of PulseChain to pulseX is now 4-to-1, meaning people are spending 4 pulseX tokens to get 1 PulseChain token. They're spending 4 PLSX to get 1 PLS. And this is up from 2 a couple days ago. It was 2, then it was 3, now it's 4. So just what I suspected, right? Like, it wasn't that hard of a prediction to make, and it came true. And it's probably going to come true again when PulseChain launches. Obviously, people are rushing to get into PLS because they have epic FOMO, massive FOMO, because of the shorter PLS sacrifice phase, and everyone found out about pulseX later. Just being honest with you guys, I still think pulseX is going to pump, okay? But you got to get ready for what's actually probably going to happen. I think PulseChain is going to pump really hard first, and then it's going to take some time for volume to pick up, to get that buy and burn revving up, the engine's revving up in pulseX. And I think there's a good chance pulseX doesn't pump for, 6 to 12 months after launch. Coffee, setting my mind at ease. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Born yesterday. Thank you. Now, I'd love for there to be pulseX single-sided staking pools. I mean, I'm going to vote for them. If I see any proposals in the voting mechanism, I'm definitely going to vote for. The ones I would like to see the most are like Maxi and Hedron and all these other cool coins that kind of add to the ecosystem. I don't want to see a whole lot of crap on there, but hey, even if there is a crappy coin offering some crazy staking rewards, you can just dump the coin, right? Put it into HEX, put it into PulseChain. So yeah, what's up, Cryptomance? Sorry, I'm very behind on chat. Very, very, very behind. Wrench me, please, Mr. Coffee. Okay. Don't mind if I do. Monica. You now have... Need to get some mods up in here. Give me a minute. I will make you a moderator. All right. MoFit Meals by Monica. Congratulations. You are officially a moderator. All right. Price prediction for 2022 for HEX. Well, first of all, before you clip this out and take it as gospel, because I hate giving price predictions, because when you're wrong, everyone's like, oh, you're an idiot. It's like, we're just pulling numbers out of our ass here, guys. So Beyond my price prediction for 2022, I think there's a good chance we end higher. I think people are going to be rushing to buy PHEX or the PulseChain version of HEX. So I think once people get that out of their system, I think by the end of the year, I mean, assuming PulseChain launches in like June, July, then after 6 months of HEX pumping, I think we sit at about $1, maybe $1.20. I think a 10x by the end of the year is reasonable because I really do think the bear market is running out, guys. I mean, we're coming to a grinding halt here. And although we might have a little bit more grinding left to go, I'll let you know when I get bullish again on HEX. But like right now, this is a prime dollar cost averaging zone. Anywhere from 8 to 15 cents is where I'd be buying. BMA says coffee definitely knows what he's talking about. Thank you. I like to think so. I'm not a genius. I'm not Richard Hart level genius, but maybe upper end of the bell curve. Everyone has a bridge now. Pulse got to launch soon or be like XRP. No, that's no. How can something be obsolete if it doesn't exist yet? God, I gotta pretend I didn't just read that comment. All right, everyone like and subscribe. Yeah, thank you. One of the most sound hexicans. Cool, man. I like being called sound. Yeah, like and subscribe if you want. Yeah, Unsung Heroes, like everyone's gonna hold me to this now, guys. When my prediction comes untrue, it's a prediction, all right? And you can make a prediction too. It's easy. You just think of a number and you say it. That's the problem with predictions, man. It's a problem. It literally just a 10x sounds nice. That's all I'm basing it off of. And I do think PulseChain is going to get a lot of attention. People are going to rush to probably buy PHEX because it's going to start at technically zero value. So it's going to have a price. I would hope it at least gets to the price of HEX pre-fork, whatever that is at the time. Let's say we're at 20 cents before the fork happens. I would assume that people are probably going to sell off their EHEX and they're probably going to rush into PHEX, but because it was just 20 cents, like right before, I think in people's minds, they're going to imagine that PHEX should be worth about 20 cents and then run up or down from there. But new coin, new chance to get in on HEX day one, technically, right? You could get HEX at a really good deal early on. And I think that just think of all the different ways that people are going to be discovering HEX now and think about how they don't have to pay $300 to onboard. So the cost to acquire a new user is what matters in business a lot. And the cost to acquire a new HEX user today is probably close to $200 to $300, which is really, really, really bad, guys, because they have to buy it on Coinbase. They're getting 1% fee there. You got to withdraw it. It takes them 3 days. Terrible user experience. Then they got to swap on Uniswap. They got to approve their MetaMask, which costs $10 to $20 right now. Then they got to approve their spending limit on each coins. And they have to buy some Ethereum to pay for gas. They have to leave enough Ethereum in there to pay for the swap, which is about $150 to $200. And then they got to go, if they want to stake their HEX, it costs them another $30 of gas, something like that. And by the way, guys, ETH 2.0 is not going to fix any of this. Like even the merge, right? Which Vitalik just delayed, LOL. Vitalik delayed the merge till fall 2022. So delays are the name of the game in software, guys, but in Ethereum 2.0 especially. So their roadmap, and that's why we don't have a roadmap. You know what I mean? Like you don't want a roadmap because a roadmap is just a series of disappointments. That's all a roadmap is hey, we're going to say it's going to be done by this date, and then it actually happens 6 months later. So be lucky we don't have a series of disappointments called a roadmap. Davis, thank you, man. Holy crap. Coffee 400 watching live. Wow. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Thank you guys all for watching. I'm trying to give sound advice about what's going to probably happen and set realistic expectations. So again, like I'm showing you on the screen right now, everyone gets really bullish about their coin just because they own a big bag of it. But to be honest, this chart doesn't look good. Like the HEX chart doesn't look good. But what does that mean? That doesn't mean don't buy it. When the chart looks bad is exactly when you should be buying it. I was saying at 50 to 40 cents, you can go watch some of my live streams from around there. Everybody was all, happy, patting each other on the back. It was like the Wojak meme, hugging, and everyone's green candles flying around. Everybody was getting rich in last summer. And on my streams, I would sometimes interject and be like, hey guys, I don't want to be a buzzkill or anything, but there's going to be another bear market around the corner. And when that happens, You got to be prepared for it. I was telling people there was going to be a bear market in like this summer when we were hitting all-time highs. And I mean, I'm just trying to set realistic expectations. Just like right now, I'm trying to set a realistic expectation that the lowest we could probably go from here is like 7 cents maybe. But now that a lot of people are getting more bearish, this is what Dixon Piper said too. So make sure to like and subscribe to that guy. It's like now that a lot more people are getting bearish, that's actually more bullish. So is it time to be a full-blown bull yet? No, but basically, guys, I mean, you're going to want to get in before the announcement of the PulseChain launch, because there's going to be a little bit of a pump on that probably. Maybe not a huge pump, right? Maybe not all-time highs again, but you're probably going to want to get in before there. And what do we have left before that? We've got Maxi launch. That's probably it. 2-week long Maxi launch, Maximus DAO. If you guys don't know about Maxi token yet, it's just another thing you can do. Go check out my stream with Maximus.cash guy, dip catcher. I'm going to be doing it, but not with my whole stack, obviously, just a small portion. But I'm really interested in the project because I think it's really cool. I mean, we could all be founders together of the Maxi token, and it's instant liquidity, right? So you could sell it whenever you want. You could buy it back at a you could sell a discount or buy a discount and sell the premiums and play this side game with Maxi if you want to try trading it. I don't really love trading, but it's also instant liquidity. If you need to dump the value of your HEX, you don't actually have to sell the HEX. You could sell the Maxi, right? So it's a way to also not have to sell HEX. So anyway, we've got Maxi launch, and then we've probably got Richard Hart announcement of snapshot date. And then we've got snapshot date. And then probably this summer, guys, probably by June, July, it's going to be pure chaos, man. It's going to be pure chaos. Shouldn't have to explain market cycles to people. Plenty of info out there, just lazy. I know, right? But you shouldn't have to explain market cycles, but you do. So I'm sorry, this is too basic for some of you. I mean, guys, back in the 2017 bubble, like there was here, let me pull up a Bitcoin chart. EPC, let me pull up the BLX chart. It's my favorite one. Let's see, we'll go down to, we'll go down here. All right, so you're following along. So look, this was the 2017 bubble, okay, of Bitcoin. And we've got 85% dip from 20K down to 3K. Took exactly a year, like exactly 365 days, which is weird. 83% dip, I guess. And look at this triangle right here. Hold on. Where's the triangles? Here they are. Pretty obvious triangle here, guys. Pretty obvious triangle right there. And you can see here, look, I mean, it just bounced around that triangle, a descending, triangle, and tightened up, volatility was coiling up. And one thing that's interesting about markets is volatility is cyclical too. What does that mean? We go through periods of high volatility and low volatility. So as we were coiling up, the volatility was actually decreasing in Bitcoin during 2018, during the bear market. And it was decreasing in this descending triangle, but there was still enough support to eat it back up at 6,000. But then we broke violently to the downside because that's what triangles do, number one. But the reason they do that is because of cyclical volatility, because eventually there's so much pressure and people get tired of, the nothingness, and then they decide that it just has to go one way, up or down. And the market decided down in 2018, but is the same thing going to play out for HEX? Not necessarily. Again, guys, we've only got I forgot what the exact percentage was for descending triangles breaking down, but they don't always just break down. They could definitely also break up. Okay. So they could definitely break up too. And again, the things that I'm saying, the reason I think that this descending triangle and HEX might be a little different is because, again, PulseChain launched right around the corner. And also just because I don't see a lot of the people that move the market are whales, right? But what people don't see is that a lot of the whales are actually accumulating here. And so I don't see a lot of big wicks down. I see a lot of big wicks up, but not a lot of big wicks down. I don't see a V bottom coming. I see a grinding bottom coming. And then I see because of all the hype of PulseChain, along with hopefully some of the macro conditions lifting in Bitcoin and in the stock market, I think that all lines up perfectly for our kind of second bull run, our consecutive bull run. I hope, right? Wishful thinking probably, but you can't ignore that PulseChain hype. You really cannot. Hey, Coffee, different setup. Yeah, different angle. Just I want to do a better background for you guys. So I'm going to be moving in a couple of months, or 2 months basically. And I want to make like my own studio so I don't have to just do green screen all the time. Smash the like. Yeah. Ciao from Italy. Ciao to you, Rockstar Sad. Could you do a vid on the estimated price of ETH when claiming your HEX stakes over different length stakes? There isn't much on that. Well, I mean, are you referring to gas fees? As many won't have the fluid ETH to claim their stakes. Oh, yeah. So you're going to need liquid ETH in your wallet to unstake and to stake your Ethereum. But that's just the gas fees. So if you guys don't understand gas fees, I mean, there's a network like Ethereum and PulseChain are networks, right? You can think of them like the roads. And gas fees are like the oil that you need to put in your car to drive on the road. So every time you do a transaction, you have to pay with the native gas token. And the native token of Ethereum is ETH. The native token of PulseChain is PLS. Simple as that. You always got to make sure to keep some in your wallet. So if you've got a bunch of stakes coming up, keep a couple $100 worth of ETH in your wallet because gas fees are going to be pretty high. And we won't have to worry about that on PulseChain. It's going to be great. We won't have to worry about gas fees at all on PulseChain. It's a great day to be a HEX again. Yeah, well, it's always a good day when you're staked and you're making money every day. It's just perspective. You know, a lot of people that are sad or that are down about the price, they just don't have the right frame of mind, right? It's really just reframing. You know, you need to be able to have a higher time preference and think like a whale, because whales what a high time preference means is you don't need the money right now. You don't need the money right away. So you're okay with accumulating at the lows. And it's more of a feeling of desperation, right? If you invested with more than you're willing to lose, that's not how you do crypto. That's not how you do investing, right? You're coming to this game of investing. It's not trading, it's investing. And it's for adults that are mature enough to handle their own money, right? So if you don't have your money right, if you don't have the money to live and eat tomorrow, you really can't be looking at crypto as just a lottery ticket, right? And that's like the whole myth of diversification too. So there's no diversification in crypto. This shit all goes up and down together. I mean, HEX has been decorrelated in the past due to its liquidity bonding, but in general, like right now, for example, the whole markets are down. S&P 500 is down. But when you're investing, you're playing a game of months and years, not a game of days and weeks. It's not, oh, I'm going to pick these top 10 altcoins and hope that one of them moons, and then next month I'll be a millionaire. Like, it's not lottery tickets, right? Lottery tickets is, the lottery is basically a tax on the poor, you know? So you can't think of this like a lottery ticket. So if you're coming to crypto, you need to have a professional investing mindset, long-term mindset, and take it from someone that lost a lot of money, a ton of money, guys. I lost so much money. And for like 4 years. I started my crypto journey in 2015. I fucked up for 4 years straight, basically, just trying different stuff that didn't work. Okay. I lost money in every way you could possibly imagine. High yield investment programs, you know, literal scams, bots, trading, you name it, leverage. None of it worked. I even tried an e-commerce company, thought selling stuff with crypto would be the way to go. Nope, didn't work. Only in the past 3 years that I really started making a lot of money in crypto. And that's because I shifted my mindset to more long-term thinking. And it gets easier too. But again, dollar cost average, you know, just put a little bit, maybe, you know, work at a job because you're not going to quit your job overnight. Okay. It's like a 2 to 5 year retirement plan instead of a 40-year retirement plan. Okay. If you do it right, you can quit in 2 to 5 years. If you do it wrong, like me, it'll take 7 or 8 or whatever. But, yeah, you work a job, you get a paycheck, you get a little bit of money, set aside a little bit of that money to dollar cost average into crypto at the dips, the perfect opportunity right in front of you. I'm like holding it right here. The perfect opportunity. Oh my God. Coffee flavored DGen. That's right, baby. Watch the Richard Hart channel. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen Richard Hart yet, oh my gosh. Guys, software takes time. Everyone that's like if you're putting all of your value and all of your hopes and dreams into PulseChain launching in a certain time period, like I almost think that, like I said this on the last video too, about why PulseChain is going to get you wrecked, because people are putting so much of their hope and their energy, and they're checking Twitter every day, thinking that there's going to be something crazy. Guys, for the most part, Twitter is just going to suck out all your time and focus. Like, it's better to just focus on, either build a business or just go to your job, or hang out with your friends and family. Just have fun, take your time off the screen. But people are like staring at the charts, looking for updates, new information, and they'll never be satiated, because even when PulseChain comes out, it's like they're not going to get rich overnight either. You're still going to need to hold PulseChain for a year or two, probably 2 years, just to be safe, to really realize those life-changing gains. So PulseChain launches and you're still not an overnight millionaire. Let's see. What happens to HEX if don't unstake after maturity date? So there's a 2-week grace period in HEX where it's okay if you're late, but you only have 14 days to be late. And then after the 14 days, your stake starts depleting by 1% per week. So essentially it'll bleed out slowly over 2 years, or 100 weeks, roughly 2 years. But it's okay if you didn't unstake your HEX right away. I try to always do mine on the right day, the same day, but there's a 2-week grace period where you won't have any penalties at all. Thank you, BMA. Means a lot, man. Liberty Capital, me too. I did keep BCC though. What are we talking about? High yield investment programs. I did not join BitConnect, so I got that on my accolades, right? But I found Richard Hart like right around the same time BitConnect was happening and stuff. Man, I've been into HEX. I was going back watching some old Richard Hart videos, and you guys know, like, it took HEX over a year to be launched. And it's funny because when you watch videos from 2018, that was when we were in the previous bear market. So those videos sometimes help me to like collect my thoughts and think about and reframe my mind and everything, because Richard Hart taught me most of what I know. Obviously I have my own spin on things and I might have my own unique thoughts and stuff, but Richard Hart taught me a lot. So if you go back and check out some of those old videos from 2018, he's talking about, just inventing HEX. You can even see the moment where it was originally HEX was only going to be for Bitcoin free claimers. He added in the adoption amplifier later. And it's funny because like in his models of early on in HEX, he kept saying 4 more weeks too. And you remember that this stuff is just really hard and you have to keep adding stuff in. So he added the adoption amplifier to reward people that actually wanted to sacrifice something of value for their HEX, because people don't value free things, as much as they value things that they paid for. So even though it was initially going to be all for Bitcoin free claimers only, and even though they were going to be auto locked for a year, 90%, in order to have to watch their investment so they couldn't just dump it right away, that still wasn't enough. We still needed that adoption amplifier. And it's funny because Richard Hart actually had some misconceptions about the reality of HEX. In his models, he used a lot shorter average weighted stake length of like 2 years-ish. He thought people were only going to be staking on average 2 years, when people now are regularly staking 15 years, and the average is 6.3. He also thought there'd be like a 50% stake. I mean, he estimated there might be a 50% of all HEX staked, but I think with the introduction of the adoption amplifier, that also introduced the need or the requirement for the origin address to own more HEX. And thus it's great for us, right? But that's what led to the 10% total staked, which is also what leads to the very high, very generous interest rates that we see today, or yield, I should say. We don't say interest anymore. Big Payday was awesome. Yeah, Big Payday was great. There's still a lot of reasons to get into HEX, but Big Payday was awesome. I predict the biggest gains are when fiat on-ramps are established. So you want to be in before that. Good point, Gregory. Good point. I know fiat on-ramps are being worked on by real people that I'm not at liberty to talk about. But trust me, I know it's being built. Whether Richard Hart gets around to it or not, I think a lot of individuals, this is a business that a lot of individual people in their respective countries or states can work on, because it's a very kind of simple business model. But like the one in the USA is probably going to be the most important, because right now there's not going to be any big fiat on-ramp for HEX at least, but there probably will be a fiat on-ramp for PulseChain, which is going to be beautiful. So you don't need to get the free pulse.io, claim if you don't want to, because there might be an actual way to buy Pulse with US dollars or with whatever currency you have. And Richard Hart hinted at that, but obviously we don't want to promise that, because what if they change their mind? But, if one big exchange does it and they get a lot of attraction from it, they get a lot of new users, it's a win-win situation, then a lot of other exchanges might follow suit, right? Layer 1 seem to be pretty popular in the ecosystem right now. Everybody wants to add, AVAX, Solana, Phantom, all these other ones. PulseChain's a perfect fit for what's a popular narrative right now. We're building the infrastructure. This is the railroad tracks that everything is going to live on top of. That's PulseChain, right? People are going to get excited, in my opinion, about store of value app and the trading app, namely HEX and pulseX. People are going to get excited about that after PulseChain, I think. Although I do think HEX has got a little bit of a pump in it when PulseChain launches. I think both HEX and PulseChain will pump, but I think pulseX will dump pretty hard for a while. And then I think PulseChain will dump too, because a lot of short-term sellers are going to take profit. But I just don't think PulseChain will ever go below sacrifice price. So dollar cost averaging would be way easier if fees weren't 30 to 80. I know, man. That's the worst part about all this. It's like you now have to save up $1,000 at a time almost to even make dollar cost averaging worth it. So coming from your perspective, this is a really, I get it. If you don't have larger amounts coming in and you're just trying to put $400, $500 at a time, maybe save for a couple of weeks or maybe a full month and try to do $1,000 at a time or something, because man, it's tough out there. Like I said, by the time your $1,000 is churned through, it might only be $750, right? But still, having HEX now and having a copy immediately on PulseChain network to play around with and swap for PulseChain or whatever you want to do, that's worth more to me than waiting to the last minute. Kind of though, right? Kind of. And I'm kind of a hypocrite for saying that, because I'm not going to be doing anything when PulseChain launches. Just so you guys know, I'm sitting back on my ass and I'm doing nothing at all, and which is the most boring strategy that nobody wants to hear. But I think you're going to have a better shot at buying PulseChain, or you're going to have a better chance at not doing something stupid if you just wait for the dip 30 to 60 days, maybe after launch. So, but if you feel like you want to do something right away, by all means. Having HEX now liquid is probably one of the better things to do to try to accumulate that. Let's see. I DCA through an exchange and immediately withdraw to the wallet. Yeah, Maki Roll, that is a really good point. You can buy HEX on exchanges like Bitmart, Hit BTC, I think, Poloniex. You can make all these exchange accounts and you can just take it off the exchange right away. And to be honest, that's probably the way. Maki Roll, I wouldn't never normally say this, right? But I do think using a centralized exchange right now is probably the best way to accumulate HEX for the time being, right? And then when we get into PulseChain, we don't need to worry about any of that stuff, because we'll have PulseChain on ramps and life will be good. Let's see. Please explain why inflation is worrisome. Well, people have this please explain why inflation isn't worrisome. So, yeah, people have this binary thought that inflation is either good or bad. It's neither, okay? PulseChain and pulseX are deflationary, which is a great narrative, right? It's a great narrative, but if you want to pay people more of something for locking something, like in HEX, for example, if you want to pay people in more HEX to get rewards, those coins have to come from somewhere. You can't do HEX without inflation. Now, is that bad? No, because really the problem is not inflation itself. The problem is out of control inflation, or a terribly designed inflation mechanism or rate. Now, because inflation is only being paid to the stakers, they're virtually, the people holding liquid are virtually lending their value to the staking class. They're letting the stakers get all of the inflation and hold up the price by not being able to touch it or sell it. And, they're getting diluted by essentially the dilution that they're getting is they're foregoing the being part of the staking class, but they're getting all the opportunity of being able to sell HEX liquid right now. And so the inflation rate was purposely chosen very low, 3.69%. It's very low, right? Out of control inflation is what you have to worry about. Like the Federal Reserve, that's the inflation that's bad because you have one guy that can flip-flop the number whenever they want. And then you have things like, 40% of the money supply being printed in the past year, all the money supply. There's no inflation rate for the US dollar. It's just whatever one guy decides, which is very, very dangerous because we get ourselves into a lot of debt. We print a lot of money and we have like a giant welfare state. You know what I mean? It's bad. Bad things happen. But when you have a set coded inflation of 3.69% and you only give that to the people that hold the price up, that's good. That's actually a good price positive mechanism. And so the people getting in, as long as demand can remain constant or increasing, the inflation from the people that are actually locking up their coins and taking them off the market, burning them essentially, is not a problem to you right now. Like if you're thinking that the dump happened because of the inflation, that's not the case at all. The dump happened because this is what happens in crypto because it's very volatile. The reason for the dump primarily is, whales selling for sure. Whales move the markets. Okay. Also a lot of minnows move the markets too, but liquidity has a lot to do with it. And this is something that Dixon Piper mentioned as well. Liquidity in HEX right now is actually very, very favorable for the common man, for you and I, because it's not institutional grade liquidity yet. So the fact that you can move the price up and down so much in a single order with only $1 million, for example, is actually a feature, not a bug right now. Now, by the time HEX has institutional grade liquidity, it might actually be too late to buy. The game will be over. There won't be any gains left. It's like, Bitcoin, right? Michael Saylor buys $200 million of Bitcoin, doesn't even move the price, right? Well, granted, they announce these things after they've already done it. So it's like, you're announcing that you bought after you already bought. So, but even that news didn't spur enough retail buying to kick up any more demand for Bitcoin. So that's what you have in HEX. Whereas if Michael Saylor bought $200 million worth of HEX, holy shit, can you imagine what that would do to the price? It would go sky high. It would go like probably like 50x the price in one go. So $1 million is still a lot of money to move the price up and down in HEX, and you want that. Recently, a lot of liquidity was moved out of HEX, out of the V2 pool specifically. Now, when that happens, you've got a lot more HEX. You've got a lot more ability to push the price down. But what we're seeing is even with that lower liquidity, shifting primarily out of V2, and then there's still a lot in V3, but we saw a lot of liquidity come out of V2. And so now when people are selling, like, it's actually really bullish because people are selling into lower liquidity and they're not able to push the price much lower than 11 cents or 10 cents. But the fact that they're not able to push the price down, even with less liquidity, we're not seeing any giant wicks or V bottoms or anything. It's bullish. It means that probably a lot of the negative sentiment, a lot of the players that would have sold have probably sold. Yes, there's still probably a couple of sellers left, right? But the more bearish people get, the more bullish I actually get. So I see a lot of bearishness out there right now. And again, so going back to the original question, inflation will be diluted and it gets kicked down the road. Yeah, it gets staggered down the road because not everybody stakes for the same day. The coin has to inflate, right? So there's no like perfect inflation rate, but we picked a rate that was lower than Bitcoin's inflation rate when HEX was created. 3.69% is a lower inflation rate than Bitcoin's inflation rate was back when HEX was created. I hope that answered it. Sometimes I'm all over the place. What is your first planned days at launch of PulseX? Nothing at all, bro. I'm going to do nothing at all. Definitely not going to sell my pulseX for PLS. I'm just going to sit on both because I got both. I'm going to sit on both. Pretty boring, right? Maki Roll says he's bought it 40 cents but keeps DCAing. Yeah, that's hard to do, man. I feel you, but props because when HEX goes back to $1, you're probably going to be happy that you got your average price down to 20 cents or 15 cents. You know what I mean? So God bless you, Maki Roll. I hope things work out for you. I believe too, by the way. I'm a believer if it's not obvious. I don't think HEX is going anywhere. I think, in fact, it's only just getting started. Hey, what's up, Shell Fox? Good to see you too. Let's see. So you're not going to stake it. I'm not sure who these people are talking to. We're coming up at almost an hour. Let's see. If you buy HEX now, do you get the new tokens for free? Pulse and pulseX? Yeah. Yeah, this is an easy question. If you buy HEX now, you get a copy for free on PulseChain. There's only one PulseChain. So when you're saying Pulse and pulseX, pulseX is an application that lives on top of PulseChain. Okay. PulseX is the trading platform for PulseChain. So Pulse is like Ethereum. PulseX is like Uniswap. HEX is like Bitcoin. Okay. But yeah, if you buy HEX now, you're going to get a free copy on PulseChain when it launches. Let's hang out when PLS launches. Yeah. All right, Finbear. You in Chicago? Oh, shit. It's really raining out there. I got my window open. It's going to get pretty wet. Hey, do you guys like the rain in the background? Maybe it's like a nice ASMR or something. Link to Maximus stream? Just go to my channel, bro. I don't have a link right now. Just look up Crypto Coffee Maximus or something. Let's see. Smash the like. That's right. If we got any questions, I'll wrap things up here in about 4 minutes if we don't have any questions. Thanks for sharing your prediction regarding both coins at launch. Who do you think K4K is more bullish on? PulseX? K4K. I can't speak for him, but it sounds like he's very bullish on PulseX. I think I'm bullish on both. Okay, I'm bullish on both, but I think that Pulse will pump first and PulseX will pump after. And for the record, oh, Jesus, get that guy out of here. For the record, guys, hold on. Hide user from channel. Goodbye. The new strategy that I wanted to talk about. Let me add some mods really quick. I don't have a lot of mods here, which means there's probably a lot of new people. Add moderator. Shellfox, you're a moderator. Finbear, you get to be a moderator. I used to have a lot of moderators. Now everyone that used to be my moderator now has a YouTube channel. So they're off doing their own YouTube channels and stuff, which is awesome. It's beautiful, right? Anyway, my general question about like the strategy when we have a 3-token world of HEX, PulseX, PulseChain is that you're going to want to probably, you're never going to almost ever want to sell because there's going to be ways to extract value on your crypto without having to sell. So when you're just being patient for like a year or two and you're just chilling and waiting for those gains, when one coin dips heavy and one coin pumps heavy, like let's say HEX is pumping, let's say PulseX starts pumping and HEX starts dipping, right? Well, if you see a mismatch between these two, you might want to swap some PulseX for HEX, and then kind of get your ratios back to that 33, 33, like 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And if PulseChain starts pumping and PulseX starts dipping, you might want to swap some Pulse for PulseX, and then kind of bring those ratios back a little bit, back to even. That's probably going to be my like safe bet strategy. And obviously, with your HEX, you're going to want to have it staked. With your PulseX, you're probably going to want to have that staked. And with your PulseChain, we'll see. There might be some cool stuff you can do with your PulseChain. I'll keep you guys posted. Let's see. You get a mod promotion. You get a mod promotion. That's right. That's right. What's it going to take to get Mr. Hart's boots on USA soil? Oh man, that'll be a tough one, right? That'll be a tough one. Yeah, I don't think he's able to leave the country. They got some pretty strict laws over in Europe, and depending on what country you're in, I don't know what country he lives in, but it's one of those in Europe somewhere. And I think they're a little strict. So I think it's going to take, the end of the pandemic probably. Will HEX have the same UI interface on the PulseChain platform like staking ETH, staking on the ETH side with the same format? Yes. You can just go to go.hex.com on PulseChain. It works today. It's the same exact interface. You just switch networks. If you switch networks, it goes from you have one set of stakes on Ethereum, and then you can have a different set of stakes on PulseChain. at the snapshot date, they're going to look exactly the same, right? Because your stakes are going to be copied too. But if you want to start doing different stuff over on PulseChain, your staking ladder and everything might look a little different. Oh, no way. Thank you, Micha, for the update. Hey, guys, Maximus launch date is on Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Wow, that's awesome, man. So I'll make a video on Friday then. I should probably make the video now, release it on Friday. We're going to have 15 days to fill up this pool with as much HEX as we can so we can all get Maximus token. And this Maximus DAO, I think, is going to have some cool attributes for, liquidity, gas savings, and obviously just it might pump due to the, the hedron effect and everything too. Is staking pulseX safe when we get going? Yeah, it's safe. But like I said there earlier in the stream, like there might not be a place to stake it right away. We have to vote in coins that we want to reward for pulseX stakers. So there might be a vote, there might be a proposal that's saying, hey, let's give hedron to pulseX stakers. And I would say, yes, I want to vote for that. And then we allocate some hedron or whatever to slowly pay, stakers of Pulse. And that will incentivize, number one, people to hold pulseX so the price doesn't go down. And number two, people to get exposed to a new coin, like hedron, for example. All right, boys and girls, great talking to all you guys. I am going to call it a day for now. I hope you learned something. Again, patience is a virtue. Don't fall for shiny object syndrome. Just dollar cost average at the dips. You'll be all right. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.